All righty. Excellent, excellent. We are in business and just a little tardy, but we appreciate you all coming and waiting. And it is going to be, as you can see our cast today, Regina, so they can't, when your camera's on, we can see you on Zoom, but they can't see you on Facebook, just so that you know. So I know Regina is getting her family together and settling them down, and we all have lives, and she happens to have the life of a mom, so she's got to take care of her business. It's gonna be weird for a second because you're gonna hear her voice and you're not gonna see her face, but she will definitely pop in when she gets a chance to do so. I am going to keep Facebook open, ladies, and try to monitor it. First, I have to
when there's, I guess, a break in a conversation, we can just go over to Facebook and see what's been said.
That'll work. Yeah, I don't keep both screens open because they play back differently, and it looks it's too weird for me to look at both of them. So, okay, all righty. Happy Sunday, good people, Facebook world, social media world. Welcome to the Back to Love Shop Talk. This is Shop Talk Sunday. And you know how we get down, Shop Talk Sunday. We talk shop like you would when it's just your girlfriends around or just your guy friends around. We all had an extremely busy week. So again, I want to thank my colleagues, my partners, my group members.
Dawn, I'm going to have to go out and come back in because it's not letting me turn on my camera. So I'm going to go out and let me back in.
Okay, is your camera on at the top? Well, go ahead. He's going to go out and come back in. Don't worry. We live in a virtual world, guys. I get so used to this stuff. It doesn't even, I spent half of my life of work on Zoom, and I probably have seen everything happen virtually that could potentially happen. It really doesn't faze me anymore. I used to get a little nervous and, oh my God, they gonna see it. Yeah, y'all gonna see it. Like if you were in the office, somebody had to go to the bathroom.
Can you imagine?
Get up and leave the office. So it's what it is.
I presume, though, could you imagine this pandemic without it?
No. And some things we really should learn to be more grateful for in this time. But we get on our soapbox today, get started because it is a heavy and full conversation. Initially, I wasn't going to have it because, as you can see, it's just three of us today, and I like to try. Looks like Regina's having some connection issues, but she'll get it together. And I like to try to have at least four people on the conversation, just for the purpose of diversity in the dialogue. And I think we've shown over time that we are not a monolithic people, but we also aren't trying to come up with any directions on how people should live. We're really just talking from our hearts, and I think that's what makes this a good podcast. But tonight, I decided, you know what? It's three of us. It's three Black women. And I realized that the conversation we are having,
you can't do that, baby.
Regina, you all may believe it's going to be a very one-sided conversation, but I don't think that it is. We are all very different women with very different lenses. So I am certainly looking forward to this conversation this evening. And we are talking about the color, quote unquote.
There she is.
Yeah. You must have had to get on your phone or something. That's what the color, in quote, of love. So we are talking about interracial dating and relationships and marriage and all those things. And from every perspective, this is not going to be a trash Black men conversation, because Y'all not the only ones who date outside the color lines. But certainly we'll look at the historical aspects of things and of course where we are with it today. So ladies, are you all ready to jump in? Yeah, we ready? I don't know. Y'all, Regina got a stance on that I'm uncomfortable with right now. I don't know what's getting ready to listen. I don't know what's getting ready to happen here, but we always I have surprise about, but of course I am Dawn and I have with me this evening Natasha and Regina. Let's go, ladies. So we're talking about the color of love.
I just would like to say for the record, I resent that statement that was made. I'm not going to say anything that no one else was thinking. How about that?
No, I'm saying you were kind of cocked to the side and leaning into the camera
like let's get it.
Or was she not doing that? I mean,
I was trying to see where the Vaseline was. I was like, dang, is it gonna get like that? Is it gonna get like that? I was like, dang. That's the writer right there.
I saw her stairs. I saw. So let's just get the biggest elephant in the room out now. Let's just point her out and let's talk about the sore spot, right? I would think it's definitely something that is more acceptable. I think in general because we're living in a more acceptable world, right? Mm-hmm. More acceptable of everything. But I know for certain that when Black women are in the presence of Black women in the privacy of their own homes, and it's a girlfriend's night when it comes up, no matter what we say in public, to be politically correct, it's a sore spot. And it's not necessarily that we don't think people should love who they want to love. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I don't particularly care about that. I have issues when people make decisions about anything because they think one way about a certain group of people. That's across the board. So as long as that's not the case, if they're dating, that's what they do, and they fast, fine. But it doesn't mean that it's not sore. And when I say sore, for me, it's tender. Like if it was a spot on my body that I could touch, it would hurt. Just a little. Not a deep down in the muscle pain, not a deep down in the joint pain, just a little bit of touch. It's a surface, a little bruise where I didn't bump my leg, and it's a little sore. It's a little tender, that's all. So I don't want to say anymore until I hear from you guys. Why the sore spot? Let's put the sore spot out there and talk about if it stings a little bit for you or not. When Black men, predominantly, that's what we're talking about.
I think when I was, you want to go, Regina? Oh, wait, man. I think when I was younger, it was beyond a sore spot, because for me, I can look at other men of other races and be like, oh, okay, he's attractive and this, and that's just natural. I got eyes, I can differentiate what is attractive about another man. But as far as what I see for myself, I always picture myself building with a Black man. I've never pictured myself or even considered or even thinking, oh, well, let me not be, it's not even a thing of me being closed-minded. This is what I want for my life. So back in the day when I would see it, I would be like, what? Just like, why is this happening? And this, that, and the third. But then as time went on, and you and the young ladies of other races became more vocal about their experiences with these said men, I'd be like, honey, you can keep them. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you keep them. And so now it's still hard, because we talk about statistics a lot. We talk about how as a population we are overly populated as far as women, the ratio between women and men. I heard on the radio the other day and it just kind of blew my mind. I was like, dang, is this where we are? Because I think about our grandparents and our parents, they never thought about, okay, is there a man out there for me? They just thought about, okay, when I get to a certain age, I'm gonna get married. But I heard on the radio where they were like, well, we talk about this side piece type of thing, but let's just be real. There's going to be some women out there that's just going to be sharing a man because there's not enough men to go around if you specify what kind of man that you want. And I'm just like, what? And I just like, oh. And you know, we've had previous conversations, and I'm the one that's like, okay, I love monogamy. I'm not trying to get into a polyamorous relationship or anything like that. And it's just like, is this what is it? You know, so I don't know.
I think there's some truth to a little bit of everything that we talk about in this situation. In this situation, I think people say there's no shortage of Black men, but I think our men are the only ones that are split in so many different areas, right? Black, white women, Asian women, whatever, Hispanic women. I don't think their men are contingent with being on the masses. I'm trying to figure out how I can say this and not say it.
Like a stereotype.
No.
Would you like me to assist you?
Here are the reasons that people say that Black men are unavailable, right? They say they are either in jail or educated of a certain ilk that may not be dateable. You know what I mean? Just in terms of building something with somebody. So let's put all those together. In prison, uneducated, you know, don't really have, but all of those go together, right? So we're talking about some sort of social things. They're being murdered by each other and the police. They're gay. Yeah. They are, you know, and a significant amount of them prefer white women. So I would say, if you had a white woman, there are not as many of them certainly being killed by the police or each other for white women. That's not like a epidemic in their communities, right? Not many of their men desire us. So it ain't because they men running to Black women. Not on the masses. I didn't say none, just hold on for a minute. I don't see that happening. When I'm in the grocery store, I don't see anything but Black men and white women. I seldomly see it. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm just saying it ain't happening around me. I don't see it. Didn't say it wasn't happening at all. They are not predominantly criminal or uneducated. Not that it's not a population of them, but so are the women. Generally, when white men are criminal and uneducated, they live in Alabama, where the women that they're around are criminal and uneducated. They're not confused about thinking they could date somebody that is in the executive office. You know what I'm saying? When I'm saying this, I mean, so I don't think other races necessarily have the same, they couldn't possibly say what we say in terms of the Black men are unavailable, because we have far more iniquities that make our Black men unavailable to us, than I think, than any other race. So I think there's some truth to that, right? But then I look at a lot of my friends, it's all Black people married. All my friends who are married, they married to Black people and been married 20, 30 years. So is it a problem? Are we imagining that it's a problem? so no,
I'm not an imagination.
I'm just throwing things out to, you know, keep the discussion going. So
just one more quick thing. I would say I had a friend in college. He went to Prairie View in Texas. And one time I was talking to him and I was like, bruh, you know, hook me up with some of you, because he's an alpha man. And he was like, I will tell you this is the best thing I can tell you. He was like, the friends that I have that are available, I would never hook you up with. He was like, the friends that I have that I would are unavailable, because a good man's goal is not to remain single. A good man's goal is to find a wife.
And he already is, particularly at our age.
Yeah, right. And so I was just like, dang, so I think, like you were saying, maybe it is a different, and like I said, in generation, when we look at our grandparents and our parents and I don't think they had these thoughts that we have being single in 2021. I don't think they thought like, dang, am I gonna find me a good, it was somebody for anybody. You didn't think
I don't know if it was that for our grandparents though. I think marriage was a progression, and it was a natural and expected progression. And it was,
Right. That's
you
what I'm
get
saying.
married,
I'm saying,
not
I
even
didn't
if you
think
love
there
them
was
or not
any
love them,
hindrances.
but because together people had a stronger foundation.
Right. So
Then
there
apart.
wasn't that kind of, issue or hindrance when it came to, am I going to have this life that you
Well, let's
envision?
go right into the next part. I want Regina to jump in on the sore part, and if you're sore, why you feel sore? Do you think that is a legitimate feel for Black women to be sore about it? Because that moves us right into the whys, which is the next part of the discussion, talking about our grandparents' days and our parents' days. I mean, the perceptions have really changed, or at least the reasons that we think Black men date white women have changed. So go ahead, Regina. Sore spot. Where is it for you?
So the first thing I want to say is I would unequivocally agree. There is no shortage of Black men. I think any one of us can walk into a grocery store and catch the attention of a Black man. The second thing I would say is I want to address something Dawn said, and that was she doesn't see white men doing it. White men have this thing that's kept them in check from expressing their desire to be with a Black woman, and that's called annihilation, which we know the census that has just come out has proven what we've known for a long time, and we were taught it in elementary school, that anything mixed with Black becomes Black, right? Anything that's mixed with melanin becomes melanated. So therefore it is no longer white. And so that has been the pervasive fear that has gripped this country, that is the root and the seat of all the things and the craziness we see, everything from the COVID vaccination to how you're able to vote. So don't get it misconstrued, but also don't get it misconstrued that the Black woman is the only woman on the face of this earth that has, one, caused wars to happen, and number two, can produce any other color in the world. So having said that, our Black men are absolutely, unequivocally the moving target. They are the only thing that makes you swoon at night. They are the only thing that can hold you down. And for us, the sore spot is, after everything we've been through historically, we still hold your ass down. You can ignore us, dog us out, and we still gonna be like, you know what? I know you ain't shit, but I'm gonna feed you and keep you safe tonight. You know what? I know you was with this, that, and the third, but because I believe in you, because I protect that which you carry in your loins, I'm gonna cover you. So that's the sore spot for us.
You think that's what it is?
I absolutely know that's what it is, because there was no hold on. And Dawn, and I don't know about you, Tasha, because I'm learning you, I'm getting to know you. But there was no greater joy than pushing out of my canal a Black male. There was nothing.
But I don't.
There was nothing.
Let's say it's even. Let's say it's even that maybe they hold Black men down because they honor and love, or they just want to be with somebody. It's both.
Hold on, Dawn. I wasn't finished because I got a part three to this. The third part to this is that Mandingo myth that they carry around. Maybe it's a myth, maybe it ain't. It depends on what joker you tap. I don't know. But that's the third part. That's the third part of this. You might find that 0.5% of the population that falls short. But for overall pervasiveness, it is the way he grooves. It's the way he talks to us. It's his total swag. It's the way he walks in a room and commands your presence. Even if he ain't got but 2 pennies in his pocket, you ain't gonna know that shit because he is a king. He's gonna walk into that bitch like a king. And so that excites us. That does something. I don't care what color woman you are. You can be Asian, white, or Black. That presence of a Black man who walks in all of his alphaness, who walks into the fact that I created creation, when he walks into a room and he walks in all of that, we swoon, baby. I don't care what color you are. We recognize it. It's something in our pheromones that just react to him. And as a married woman, I have to tell you, I have to keep that shit in check. Because my husband walked through and I have to remember my kids in the room. I'd be like, oh, damn.
I was just about to say something. This is what.
Why are you laughing at me, dog?
I'm sorry, that go ahead.
But this is what is beautiful about loving a good Black man. You see the
We
passion.
love them and they ain't
Do
even
you
good
see
though,
the,
Tasha. Hold
but
on. We
no, but
love them and they
still,
could be
it's
wrong
a
as two
whole
left
nother
feet and
level.
we love them.
But now it's a whole nother level because, like Don said, sometimes you love a man by default because you just want a man. But when you really got a good one, that passion, you can't nobody tell you nothing else. We can argue with you up and down. It's not happening. And that's part of you being married to a good one. And that kind of love that radiates and stuff, that's
But you
what we
think
want.
he's good because he's good or good because I keep that shit in check? Now let's just be real with this.
Listen, I
it
know
in
some
check.
powerful ass women who can check. And dude, he got his.
Well, no. When I say check,
Oh,
I think you're taking
man.
check the wrong way. When I say check, I don't mean like that. When I say check, I mean my energy matches his. That's what I mean.
But that's what I'm saying. You should find somebody that is equal to your being.
And Dawn has been in my
That's what I'm
house, and
saying.
Dawn can hear us. We be going at it, and she be in stitches when we get going.
I
Am I
can
lying,
imagine.
Dawn?
No. I just don't know if I like we said, I think you hit the sore spot. I think the sore spot is we come through a lot. But
We've come through so much. How could you not want to be with me? And I've held you down throughout the history of this country. How could you not want to be with me?
Let's move. This kind of flows, right? So in our grandparents' day, the truth of the matter is they held each other down. It really wasn't that. That's why things like whether or not he was an infidel didn't matter, because he held his home down.
Yeah.
And everybody was perfectly comfortable in their spaces and in their roles. Nobody needed to want to, and the union was stronger than the separate, right? And you also the thing, our grandparents, our great grandparents, my grandmother was born in 1920, so it
was an unspoken rule too, Don.
Reconstruction. Consider this. Let's look at the history. It was a period of Reconstruction where Black men and Black women were not allowed to be together. Not in any kind of way that would sustain each other, right? They could sleep in the same cabin. They could make plenty of babies. They were communities. They do, right? Part of their goal of being owned was to procreate, right? But not for any purpose of being a union, right? So if we were in the middle of Reconstruction and we were rebuilding everything, then we were also rebuilding our relationships. And together, our great-grandparents, and they would have been about our greats, right? Only about our graces. My grandmother was born in 1920. That means my great-grandmother was born right at the turn close of the century, right? And so I think in our great-grandparents and even our grandparents' time, marriage was more about strength. And then we came through all of that, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, all of these periods of time together. And so I think the sore spot for me, and this is why I waited to kind of get is that we came through all that together. You mean to tell me it ain't not
you still don't love me? You still don't honor me? You still don't recognize me? I hear you.
Not one. They didn't even have to be here. They could have been Jamaican, Haitian, not one.
Now be honest, I don't have experience with other.
I don't give a shit. It ain't about being here, right? Like you couldn't find one all over the world. And I think again, the other sore spot is for me is when Black men choose to date, which is happening now. Our younger men are dating women because white women because Black women are difficult to them. I'm just telling you what my 23 and 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, almost every single one of my nephews and cousins who are in that age range, not just mess around with white women here and there, they're all with white women. All of them. And
can I say something, Don?
It'll be right here, just hurt. Like, yeah, I couldn't find one. And so the reasons have changed. They truly have changed. I think with our parents, it wasn't, I think in our parents' generation, when they were coming through civil rights and the Black Power movement, I don't think it was as prevalent. And if it was taboo and it was hush up. You know, you didn't really talk about it. In our generation, it was do whatever you want. Don't marry him, don't bring him home.
Mm.
The boys now, it is literally, every single one of my nephews said, all the Black girls, they are aggressive. They are mean. They got too much shit going on. They got too much to get the lashes. It's too much. I'm just telling you what 6 out of 7 of my Black nephews.
That's what makes me mad, though. That whole piece right there makes me mad because you say it's too much, but this is what y'all glorify imagery wise. You know what I'm saying?
Hear me.
And then I'm thinking, is that really what you experienced, or is that what the notion is? Is it really what you truly experienced, or are we just going with the stereotype?
Soul said it last week. He was a different kind of Black boy, and girls were crucial to him. And had he decided he was going to feel that way about himself, he would have been completely destroyed. I'm not saying it's happening all the time. That's what I'm saying. I'm just telling y'all that I think the reason why, even maybe think our great grandparents, when they did it, when Black men did it way back in Reconstruction, it was a get back. Like,
can I say something?
Yeah, women, you know what I mean, kind of thing. What's up?
So the first thing I'd like to say is that anyone who is listening to this, I want you to understand something very clearly. I want you to love whoever you're strong enough to love. I'm going to say that one more time for you. I want you to love whoever you're strong enough to love, because I need you to understand that when a Black woman rubs the back of a Black man, she's rubbing history of whips and scars out of his back. When a Black woman kisses the lips of a Black man, she's kissing those lips that have been nailed shut because he talked back or he got his tongue removed. When a Black woman hugs a Black man, she is hugging every bit of him that has been castrated, ostrated, removed, but we still love you and honor you for who you are. Now, having said that, I also want you to understand that the Black woman has evolved. She was not created, but she has evolved into this aggressive thing because we have Black women raising Black men and we don't know how. And so the perception is that we're hard and aggressive and we're this and that, when it was all about survival. I need whoever is listening to this to understand that we didn't want to be the head of households. We were head of households by default, and we was just graced enough to know how to get it done. I want you to understand that we are the head of households by default because the government would rather see us getting welfare and replacing you than seeing you running your own household. I need you to understand that we are by ourselves, not because we want to be, but by default, because you haven't been taught how to deal with your emotions and communicate effectively enough. And neither have we in a lot of cases to be able to come to some semblance. So all of this is by design to fracture the Black family.
You're going too far. You always go too far.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go far. You're talking to the married woman who deals with a lot of shit every day, Dawn. I'm sorry. I'm going to mute myself and you can slow walk and I'll come back in when we get to that part.
What?
Whole agenda. Let me just, I'm gonna slow down and I'm gonna help y'all out. So y'all can understand what's happening. It's a whole agenda. It'd be a whole agenda. And the point of the agenda is to try to keep the conversation moving. So then the agenda stop making sense because we just skip all the way to the end. And I try to go back and ask a pertinent question, but it's too damn late to ask the question because it makes no sense to ask it at the point because we done talked all over the goddamn question. So what I'm gonna need you to do, I'm gonna need you to stop sermoning, stop this person. It's a sermon.
She can't help it though. I told you.
No, I'm messing with Regina because I'm not disagreeing with her. But if y'all let Regina does a podcast, and if y'all let her go, it'll be 8 o'clock, and we will still be on question 2. It's all like, no, don't look at me like that. Don't do that. You know I'm not lying.
It's all love.
It's all love. You know it's all love. But I don't want you to go too far because we gotta unpack this thing slow. And it's
you know it's love. That's why we dressed alike tonight.
Yeah, honestly, I get
But I think that was essential for especially young Black men to hear, because they don't hear that perspective. They don't hear
That's
that.
exactly what I was going to say, is that I think what you're hitting on is what young Black men don't fully understand, right? Because I think it's a very
Can I say one more thing, and then I'm done, and I'm gonna mute myself. Let me say one more thing. I need you not to get it twisted and don't think there's an organic reason why they want you. I need you to understand that the reason they want you is because you're the latest novelty Prada bag, Gucci purse. They don't want you out of history. They want you because you're the it thing to be. Now I'm done. I'm gonna mute.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's so different on so many levels. I think very rich Black men who are very wealthy, I think they don't necessarily put themselves in circles. Here's what I'll say. I think that when Black men become wealthy, to them dating anyone who is not on their level, I take that back, because they'll date a white woman who is a teacher and not a.
They'll date a damn crackhead because she makes them feel good. Go ahead.
I don't know about that part. I'm not going that far. I think you know what? Let's go past that, because.
Well, let me say one thing. I think one of the.
I think I agree with you, Regina, but I'm not sure if that would change. All of that said and done, that we have all this amazing history of Black young men, our younger men need to know what it's all about. I think there's some legitimacy to what they're saying too. And listen, I think if we unpack all of these things, honestly, there is no untruth here, right? Because 5 or 6 things can be true about the same thing. Okay, so let's
don't disagree, but I will also tell you, while it may be true, she's aggressive, she's loud, she's this, she got eyelashes, she got all of that. You still going to bed every single fucking night beating off to her. Period.
Yeah, period. You know what that sounds like? I'm gonna tell you what that sounds like. It to me.
You can sound like it if you want to. I'm old, so okay.
But people say that. It literally reduces it to at least be a fuck.
But that's literally a lot of times what it is.
A toy. I mean, he literally have whole toys that do it for him. Literally. So to me,
this is my thing, Don. I don't think they do it out of any genuine nature, Don. I'm sorry. I've not met one in that type of relationship who doesn't precurse that sentence by saying, if a Black woman would only ... I've not met one. I've not met one who hasn't said, if Black women would only ...
Go ahead, Natasha. I
think the issue is not understanding what relationships are and what it takes to even sustain one. I remember when I was younger and a lot of my friends were getting married, especially my male friends, and I would be like, well, how's married life and stuff? First thing every single one said was, it's work. At first, I used to think of that like offensively, like, dang, why she gotta be work? You know what I'm saying? Until I got older and got in relationships and be like, oh, this is work, because everybody thinks of this utopic viewpoint when it comes to a relationship. Everything should just fall together. I'm gonna meet my soulmate and we just gonna be on one accord and we just gonna run through the fields of lilies and love each other and be happy. There's not going to be no sad days. We're not going to argue. I think people have an unrealistic expectation when it comes to relationships. I think people are very selfish in relationships. They don't want to compromise. I think everybody wants the easy way, so they target who they think they can get the easy way from and do the least and get the most. You know, I think they're genuine in their pursuits because they know what they want to do and what they don't want to do. And who is not going to necessarily, and I'm not saying, because I know some white women that don't play that, but, or some, you see, whether it's a white woman, whether it's traditional Asian woman, whether it's like my neighbors are Latin American, the husband goes out and work, the wife stays home and takes care of the kids all day long. Certain races have or ethnicities have, you know, established roles and they're comfortable and they support those things. I think in this American culture, we just want everything easy. So when it don't come
So wait, let's
easy,
ask the question when you're saying that, because I'm trying to clarify so I can make sure, because I'm taking notes to discuss later. But so you're saying that the Black men are at this particular moment choosing what's easy for them. So white women are easier, Asian women are easier, Hispanic women are easier.
and I'm not trying to say that they're easy, but like I said, to be able, some, I'm not saying all, because I know some men who do court, and I've dated a man who's courted and made the effort, but then there's those that don't want to do that don't want to go out in court and make the effort. Some men just
So you
want to
said they don't have to court other women?
Huh?
They don't have to court other women. They can just walk up to them with like bam, bam, like bitch you man, boom, let's go.
No.
Because when I hear these things, what I'm hearing are sort of these somewhat archaic, right? Some of these sort of archaic views. Because if you're saying that Black men are choosing other women because they don't have to.
So you say courting is hitting you over the head and say, "Come on, you man."
No, but what you're saying
is like getting to know somebody.
I know what courting.
You imagine Dawn being drugged by her dreads.
I wasn't saying that. What you're saying is Black men are choosing. I'm asking you, are you saying that Black men are choosing other races because they don't want to court, they don't want to work hard, they don't want to, whatever it is that they don't want to do?
I'm not saying all Black men. No, I'm not making a general statement. I'm saying that I don't think people understand the work that it takes to be in a relationship. It's not easy. So when you say Black women are difficult, what do you mean? If she has standards, if she has expectations and you can't get with it, then that's a you problem, not a her problem.
Well, that's the question. So are you saying that other women don't have these standards? There's some standards that are out of the sky that we pull out the sky that other women don't have?
Yep.
Not out of the sky, but
here's what you're really saying, right? What that narrative is saying is that our Black men are lazy. This is what you're saying. They're lazy. That's the other.
I'm not saying, no, ma'am.
Listen, what kind of, take men and women out of it? A person who doesn't want to work hard, who doesn't want to have any standards.
That's in a relationship. I'm not saying overall as a man. I'm saying what I see and what I hear. And what I see and what I hear
but I'm saying that narrative feeds this notion.
What makes me difficult? If you say I'm aggressive, what is making me aggressive? If you saying that, oh, I don't have these problems with other women, it's because it's the contrary. They're not aggressive. They're not difficult. They're very submissive. So that's what they want.
I'd really like to hear from a man when he says difficult, because I think we're assuming that we kind of know what that means. Right. And if difficult is, what do you all think that means, right? Because here's what I'm also hearing is there are no Black women that are difficult. There are no Black women who are aggressive unnecessarily. Hold on, Regina, just wait. I understand we had to be. I get all of that. I know all that's true. I'm saying, but if we got this whole vibe energy shit about us, right, that we just want to caress on and love up on and rub the back of the head and the scars and all that shit, then we make a conscious choice at some point not to be that. Now, I'm not saying both narratives are absolutely true. There are some Black men who she asked me to get ice cream in the middle of the night. That's difficult. That's stupid shit. And that ain't what we're talking about, right? And there are some Black women who are intentionally difficult. And we know it because we read this shit on this shit all day. Mm-hmm. All day. And I'm going to give you an example. It's a scenario because it's a certain person in the city that everybody knows, so I won't say his name, but his whole point on social media is to bring up Black women and white Black women and Black men stuff. So it's always a meme. It's always my ex-husband, a story. He screenshot it, he puts it up. And this just recently, one of the screenshots was about some woman who has an ex-husband, and now she got a new husband, and her ex-husband bought their son that they have, 17-year-old son, a Mercedes. And apparently on one of the days something occurred and the new husband had to drive the boy's car and drop him off at work. We don't know the situation. That's her household. That's her custodial everyday household. She made a choice at that moment. Every woman on there was very difficult in the way they responded. Whatever each side was, it was difficult for me. I was like, look, sometimes we just need a reason to bitch about nothing. I ain't saying all women don't do that, but I think we have to understand what difficult is to them and hear it maybe sometimes. And then do a self-reflect, because it's kind of like we always scream, no, don't do that. No, we're not. Don't do that. It's not true. So take the part of it that could be that we recognize, because we'll say it among ourselves, like, she being extra. She being extra with dude for no reason. It's too much. So I think we have to acknowledge that too. And then we also have to affront men and say, y'all know we ain't the only ones. And that's the point I was getting at. Because there are some rude ass Hispanic women, there's some rude ass white women who ain't gonna talk to me. And I imagine there are Black men who get into that situation with their mates. And there is a feeling from her, like, if it gets that way, like, who you talking to? Not just who you talking to because I'm your woman, who you talking to because I'm a white woman. And I believe that happens in scenarios with Black men and Black. I ain't seen it, but ain't no way it came. Because it's their nature. We're talking about history. They were built into this country to be that. To be the town crier on Black men. So you can't tell me if it's stuff that's hearing about us, that ain't hearing about them too. So I just think both narratives are true. And I think when I listen to my nephews, again, kind of looking at this generation and the way they're seeing things, they are as far away from our culture as any of them could be. If any, in terms of each generation got further away from the culture. We were much further away from it than our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, for certain, right? But integration, we asked for that. So we had to change. We didn't have to, but we changed with it. We talked about that last week. I love how our podcasts all find a common thread. But I think it behooves us to listen to Black boys about their interactions with young Black women and address those things, and then be able to say to Black boys, like, okay, though, you mean to tell me Becky ain't never went off though? You know what I mean?
Right.
And put both of them into some perspective, you know?
And I think too, like, I have a friend who's divorced and he's co-parenting with his ex-wife, and they've chosen to put his son in a predominantly white school. And some things are just unavoidable. You know what I'm saying? He was like, who else is he gonna date?
Yeah.
Besides another guy. Like,
is it their responsibility then to put him in a situation where, if they're trying to put him into diversity, that's fine. Put him into a situation where he has to thrive harder, because I do know some parents, Black parents, who put their children in predominantly white schools so they can push them academically, and their opportunities are greater, their college opportunities and all of that stuff. But then is it their responsibility, and this I happen to believe is true, to also make sure that they don't forget, you know, introduce to some Black girls that's in the same situation.
But it's challenging in this scenario.
Going to a Black college when they, you know.
It's interesting in this particular scenario. My friend, he's pro Queen, even though he had a very long and strong relationship with a white woman. He has a preference for Black women, but his ex-wife dates nothing but white men now. And she's African.
Yeah.
And she dates nothing but white men.
Yeah.
You know. And she working, I think, on marriage number 4. So,
and we also have to make sure Black men. I think if you know, I want Black men to also be very honest and stop with this bullshit about, you know, with a Black woman, she just want everything you got. She's always about. Because I don't know very many white women who are married to executives who, when they get divorced, don't want everything he got. You know what I mean? Right. So both in there, that's what I'm talking. So like, bust all that up, bust all that, you know, some married for love. And these are all very generalizations, but there are things that happen more frequently than not. You don't not want nothing. And she also wants you to behave in a certain way when she's with her friend. She does not have any expectations. She does not have any standards. It's just that for some reason, something happened and you're more willing to accept her standards. And so that's why when Black men say difficult, I like you were saying, really define. Do you mean argumentative? Let's say argumentative, right?
Mhm.
That could be true. But what do you mean by difficult? And
Right.
standard? Because everybody got some standard, low or high. It just seems like it's easier for you, and not because their standards are easier, but to follow, to
But
want to
could
live up to the standards of other women.
an unconscious
Our
thing that
standards
you and Regina spoke about as far as historical, like, okay, we gonna take what you forbid us for having.
Yeah.
And she gonna wanna be with us, and she gonna desire us, and she ain't gonna wanna leave. And you know what I'm saying? Could it be
it's an unfair comparison for Black men to make, because
Can I ask a question?
historically, it's a very unfair comparison for Black men to make and say something, and this is what I want our boys to know about whether or not Black women are difficult. Because if we talk about historically, we had to be tougher. We had to be stronger. And not just during the crack era when they were in the home, all through slavery, all the Reconstruction, we
to be
experienced
able to
all of that.
survive it?
And it built us in a way too. I
mean, but think about it, to be able to survive all that, how could you be
It's
fragile?
unfair.
To be
It's
able
unfair.
to survive your husband being hung, your children to be
That's what
stripped from
hurts.
you.
And
How
that's what
could
hurts,
you
what
be
Regina
able
was
to
saying.
survive
That's
it,
the
to
part
not
that
carry
hurts.
that level of strength?
Because
How could you be able to
We
survive
might
it
feel a lot.
psychologically? How could you be able to? I think it was something we needed to do to survive, to get through every day, period.
May I say something?
Of course.
So this is what I like to say, just for those who are listening or who are questioning, or who would question the authentic place of love, the organic place of love that a Black woman has. I want you to know that we don't think we're second at all. I need you to understand.
I didn't hear the word.
Second.
We are not second. We are not second. And what I also want you to understand is that we struggle every single day. One of the things, and this is just being 100% transparent, one of the things I talk to my husband about all the time is, when I come home, I don't want to be a boss bitch. I don't. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be strong. I don't want to be the person who has it all together. I want to cry. I want to make dinner. I want to be I don't want to be all that other stuff, but the condition of the circumstances that we live in this country, if we want to survive, see, the difference is white women are bred to marry. Black women are bred to survive. And I need you to understand that. Their catering nature is because they don't know what hard is. If hard ever hit them, then you're gonna be catering to Sarah and Susie and Becky on medication. We know how to handle hard. Hard is what we do as a motherfucking residual effect. I'm sorry.
Hey, listen. Okay, we could cuss all day, but that was too hard. That's too hard for the public.
I'm sorry. Delete it. I'm done.
Can't delete it. You ain't gotta be done. Oh Lord, y'all see what I've been going through.
This is the podcast, so I mean
that's why we need to do this in YouTube, so people could come to YouTube, because your Facebook will mess around and do some other things.
And put us in Facebook jail. We'll be in Facebook jail.
I know, so like they'll do a whole nother.
You know what? To be quite honest, I forgot we were on Facebook. Be real about it.
Because we're gonna be R-rated in YouTube, and we had no problems because you've got to come and find that. But this is all up. It's public. It ain't even private. It's Facebook.
That's her passion.
Facebook, I apologize. Facebook, I sincerely apologize. Please do not block this podcast. I'm going to mute myself for the rest of the podcast.
No,
that's so much fun, girl. If you want to stop acting like a 3-year-old. Nobody on that. We got too much to discuss. Okay, let's y'all know how we do this thing. So ain't nobody that's been watching us for a year now shocked. So you brought up a good point, Regina. You were talking about sort of this Mandingo kind of complex, this notion, and Natasha actually came up with this question. Is it why do white women, or really not just white, I think mostly white, why do white women seek out Black men? Is it the
I don't know. I
Can
just
I
know I
answer
go out
that?
the house
My bad.
speaking every damn day. I don't know.
Is it the
I've
Mandingo?
asked. I've actually asked. I've actually asked. So
Go.
So there was, when I was in nursing school, I had 2 classmates who both are white and one was actually married to a Black man and had biracial children. Another one had just dated and dealt with Black men. So I don't even know how we got there, but she was just saying, like, basically she said, Black men are good with sex. She was like, that myth for us has been true. They're better in bed than white men. That's for her. This is what she's saying. They're better in bed than white men. But what she differentiated was, but they're not good in relationships. So that's why we choose white men, because they're good in relationships. But if I just wanted something fun and great sex, hands down, I don't regret being with a Black man at all, and she was like, and I come from a very conservative, background, so I couldn't take him home, but he's introduced me to his people, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then the young lady that was married, she concurred on the sex part, but she was just thinking, it was different for her because it wasn't so much, I think it was environmental, so she married because she was around the way and she lived in that environment, and they married and it didn't work out, and they went on, and afterwards she actually dated a white man and that didn't work out, and she went back to Black. So, you know what I'm saying? So, and I think she thought, if I choose this white man, I'll have a better life, I'll have a better situation, and that wasn't the case. So she went with what she liked, and she went back to the Black man. Like, I think some do it for the stereotypes, and I think some do it because it's their product of their environment. I went to school with a Jewish guy who is like Blacker than some guys. I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, and for real, like and it wasn't, he was trying to be that wigger or nothing. That was him, and he just was like, I just love the culture. I love the environment. His best friends are Black, literally, what I'm saying? It wasn't like my best friends are Black, like seriously, like, I mean, and they were welcome into his home. It wasn't like, I'm just Black at school, but I can't break you home. Like, they were embraced in his home. So it's like, you know what I mean? I think sometimes this environment, like with my friend I was telling you about with his son going to a predominantly white school, and his mom is a parent and she's dealing with white men. He's going to school with nothing but with no diversity. Most of the girls are white. He was like, I know he's gonna bring home a white girl. But he said, I'm going to try to encourage him. So when he comes in the summer, he, takes them around, different, programs and stuff like that to introduce that kind of diversity. But I mean, I don't know.
Do you know what type of experience his son is having? Because, and here's the interesting part is nowadays, our Black boys that are going to predominantly white schools, they don't have to be the nerd Black boys, because the ones that white girls may choose.
No, he's an athlete.
So for the ones who are, so yeah, he's living a very different, because it's interesting, right? I have to say again, looking at my nephews and cousins who are in that sort of age range, they are typical Black boys. They typical. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're good boys. I don't mean boys, young men. They're good young men. They ain't going to jail. They ain't, but they
Right.
get what they friends, they drink, they smoke. You know what I mean? They do what they do. But they also take care of their They work every day. You know what I mean? They got some morals and some standards, and it was a conscious choice for them. I mean, when I talked to them, it was a conscious choice for them. A very purposeful choice. But I don't know. I guess I lost my train of thought. What the heck was I getting ready to say?
Well, we were talking about like the intention of why they choose Black men, and I work with a girl.
It's interesting to me that that's what I was going to say, that the white girls want them, because that wasn't always a typical thing, right? The white girls, they like the athletes, certainly the athletes, but then it was the nerds. I mean, not the nerds, but very smart boys who were kind of square. And that's not the appeal. The interesting part about what's happening now is that a lot of young white women, they want the urban, the roughest, the, locks, they want the most urban Black boys
Kim
they can
Kardashian.
find. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, it's just a trend.
And I think that's,
I see these. Okay, I ain't gonna even say that. Go ahead.
But I think, social media, the internet, reality television, I think they, in a sense, influence that. I mean, Kim Kardashian, at this time, she's changing her whole image because she's trying to go a different way. Oh, see, Regina, no, for real, seriously, like, I know it's hard to believe, but she trying, I guess, because, like, she's trying to what she said. But anyway,
with that blanket, I don't know what she's saying.
It was some choice words though. But I think that's where they get it from. I know when I went to predominantly white schools and stuff, and being the only Black person, they make you like the hip hop expert, you know what I'm saying? So at that time when Belle Biv DeVoe came out, they want you to dance and they want to do the dances that you do, and and it's like, I think it's something different for them. I don't know if they're trying to break away from the expectation or be rebellious or show that, okay, I support you all so much that I would want to be with one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like,
can I say something? And this is the last thing I'm gonna say, because Dawn muted.
Before you do that, before you say something, you're not gonna sit on this podcast for the next hour and not say anything. That's ridiculous. You're not gonna be on this screen with your mute on. So let's not.
Dawn, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. I love your butterscotch self, but I'm not afraid of you.
Okay, so
butterscotch, I'm not listening to you. So what I was gonna say is, I know people are watching this and listening to my passion. I need you to understand something very clearly, very unequivocally. I have friends, Caucasian friends, who date white men. And I need you to understand me very clearly when I say my conversation with them is no different than my conversation with you. I try to understand it, but I also have a son, watch this, and this might be a different perspective for you. I have a son who's on the spectrum. He's on the Asperger spectrum. Do you know what girl was interested in them? She wasn't white. She wasn't Black. She's Middle Eastern, because she sees him for who he is. And that's why I say, love whoever you're strong enough to love. I'm not a judge zone. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a judge zone, but I understand the anger and the frustration that's caused by the perception of betrayal. But we also have to quit. I think we also have this issue, and social media, it's much, much worse in this XYZ generation than it is with us. But social media has y'all twisted. You all are public successes and private failures in your relationships, because you don't have the fortitude to come off the camera, shut it down, and just genuinely get to know each other. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And don't get me wrong, Pooh is not perfect. Pooh gets on my nerves every freaking day. But it's a commitment we've made to our family. Dawn will tell you, she'll be here, and I'll be like, I'm getting ready to upgrade you. She's heard me say that to him. and she laughs at it and she totes that we're so cute. But it's the commitment that we have to our family and our legacy. And so whatever that is, it is. But in the conversation that we're having today, we just want everyone to recognize that there is some deep-seated hurt behind what we perceive to be the betrayal of a Black woman. And that's probably what this should have been called. That's my 2 cents.
And we want y'all. Like, that's the thing. Like, we want
Like
y'all.
legit. We make the pretty. I'm gonna shut up, John.
I know absolutely that if I don't settle down with the Black man that I want, I can equivocally say that, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Because of my own, right? I don't impose this to be the case for anyone else. But for me, I'm not comfortable. It's just uncomfortable. And it's not because I'm uncomfortable, like I'm not confident about being a Black woman or a Black person. White people don't intimidate me in any kind of way, but at all. But I had to say that clearly. I just I enjoy the shut up, Tasha. I enjoy the presence of Black men. It is, and I was agreeing with you in the beginning when you were talking about it's a thing that they have, right? That I don't see. Last night we had the poetry.
It's a thing, girl. I can't name it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's genetic, but it's just something that makes you just stand up and pay attention. I don't know what it is.
Really
they
nice
have to model that shit and sell it.
Last night at the poetry, it was a really nice looking white guy there, a young guy, and his poetry was awesome. It was awesome and thought-provoking and all those things, and he was intelligent. I love conversation, and I love people who can express me, and all that thing is sexy to me, and I was messing with him and flirting with him. I'm a hostess, right? So part of my job is to use everything, and like you said, Tasha, I can see,
right?
You know, he's attractive, I guess, but my attraction will only
beauty doesn't have a color. Let's just say that, but go ahead.
I've attempted to actually go out. I mean, okay, not like long time. I did go on a date with two, like, and I just couldn't. They were pretty cool, but I couldn't get past my own shit. I just couldn't do it. I struggled the whole night, and it is a level of uncomfortability, and I don't want to be intimate. I just don't feel it in my bones. So I am very comfortable.
So I'm about to be super messy. Let me ask this question because I'm about to be super messy. I gotta ask this question because we grown. Tasha, quit making that face. So is the reservation about intimacy because of the fear of disappointment?
I think you're asking me specifically.
Don't lie.
No, okay, I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna sound super conceited, and it is a little arrogant, but it's true.
But I know you, and so it's probably the absolute truth. But go ahead.
But it's absolute truth. I inspire good sex. I have never been with somebody who inspires. You know what I mean? All of it ain't necessarily 1,000, but I always hit that 5.
Heidi Fly, shut the hell up. What are you saying?
You gonna do it. That's all I'm saying is
you gonna remember.
We breaking it down. We going.
You co-sign Tasha. I can't stand you.
You gonna remember.
The casual, composed you try to be. I'm gonna wear your ass out. So I inspire.
One way to do it.
So to be honest,
we gonna have a sexuality podcast. There's only one way
we don't need to have a sexuality podcast, please. No, we're not doing that.
We must. I agree. Yeah. So.
Oh my God, I won't be on that one. I'm too old for this.
Too bad.
Like for me, you know, I'm in my spirit, I'm a Black Panther. You know what I mean? I know that if I had come through the civil rights era, I know where I'd have been. If I had come to the Black Power era, I know where. There's no question for me. And I just don't really think, I think that other races, not just white people, I think other races can empathize. I think they can see it. I think they can contribute to the cause and all those things. But when it come down to it, I want somebody with me who can feel it. Feel it. You know what I mean? Not experience it.
Feel it. The depth
And be okay. When I look at this generation, I see the amount of people who are speaking up about all injustices. First of all, let me say that I think it's very faddish, and I want to see the longevity of it. But the generation that we are raising now, who were out there protesting all last summer, they're kind of a noun generation, right? So. But I do think their eyes are more open. Like, no, some of this is wrong. But they also, everything is wrong, right? And so the Black Lives Movement just kind of gets thrown into this, well, LBG, and all of it is wrong. And there's something very specifically wrong about ours.
Yeah.
Take it out, put it over here. Yes, all of them have a specific, all the other things they can fight for, right? So I think it's somewhat faddish, and I don't want faddish. If I'm gonna settle all the way down, or my ass gonna be by myself. I want that. I want that.
Okay.
And I don't want to have conversations with someone who I deal with that I have to have with at work.
Oh.
We're in this inclusive and diversity shit with people from the
Right.
I want to come home and do that. I want to come home and explain to you why Black Lives Matter and all lives. I don't want to do that.
Because we face it all the time, and it's just like you hear them say all the time, well, I just think it's kind of blown out of proportion.
Not
like,
want to be a spokesperson in my relationship.
When I was growing up, we, this, and I love all people. Everybody just needs to love each other. Like, what bubble are you living in? I mean, y'all watch the news.
My girlfriend at work, Nikki Underwood, that's my girl. Like, white girl, regular old white girl. She ain't trying to be, she cool as hell. And I love her. Right. But I know she gets it. She works for a Black organization. I know she's smart, her intellect, right? But she don't feel it. And I'm okay with her not feeling it because she's genuine in what she does do. Mm-hmm. It's actually not a fad for her. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's the love and all that. But when it comes down to intimacy, I don't want to work that hard at that aspect of it, at the Black part. I want to. I gotta do that every day in the world for white people. I want to do that. So, y'all, this conversation is going so good because I actually think we're gonna get to the end and like not be rushing towards the end. We talked as a conversation. Is the conversation when we talk interracial relationships? Is it hyper focused on Black and white? Do we feel the same way when it is Black man and Hispanic woman, or Black man and an Asian woman? Do we feel the same way?
I thought that was an interesting point that you brought up in the group. And I
think we do.
Kind of, because they look at them as exotic. I want me an exotic woman. Give me an exotic woman. They glorify Latin American.
What is exotic? Would you define that for me, please?
I'll be like, derail that, because there's some exotic, beautiful. I mean, we can be exotic, but if you're looking at exotic just means different from what you see all the time. But there's some South African and North African Black women who are exotic, because it really just means exotic in their minds. And this is where that becomes a shallow. This is where that becomes shallow, because she get the wavy hair and she, that's when the exotic becomes shallow. Because exotic, you can find exotic white women. Let's just be honest, right? It's true. Italian, they're European. So that'd be the thing. I think sometimes when Black men give their explanations, it's just little places to poke holes. Nah, dude, that ain't
right. Nope.
Carve that hole out, dude, because that. Here's the truth: they're exotic women of all, yeah. But I agree. It doesn't hurt me as much.
So okay, it's like the debate of like J-Lo's booty and Beyonce's booty, and it's like, oh, J-Lo has comparison, and I just be like,
hold on, let me stop you. The difference between a J-Lo booty and a Beyonce booty is that a J-Lo booty gets a trainer every morning at 4 a.m. to give her that ass.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Carry on.
But don't get it twisted. If you watch
It's a
Beyonce's
nice
wedding,
ass. I ain't doubt it. But at my age, and she and I are the same age, so although I might be a little older, I guarantee you, if Paul got me a personal trainer to come wake my ass up every day at 4:30 and get that shit in, I probably wouldn't even be able to maintain a decent relationship either. Because I need you to understand, Beyonce is and J-Lo isn't. And I'm going to end on that note.
I concur.
I concur.
I concur.
I definitely concur. Yeah. It's interesting to me because if they are Afro-Caribbean, then I'm more okay than if they are straight South American, Asian. I struggle with Asian, I think, as much as with white women. And I'm being transparent. I think it's important for everybody here to know is that some of this is about unpacking, right? When we have these podcasts and these conversations, it's about unpacking. And in order to do that, we have to be transparent. And so that's why there's no judgment zone here. And I can say that I don't know. I am trying to drill down and figure out why it hurts. I understand why it hurts me for white women. And I understand why it hurts me for Asian women. And here's why. It's because traditionally, our relationships with them are very strained relationships. We are either ignored, they are either completely clueless about and have no desire to know whatsoever, even though biologically South Asians and those who are in Middle Asia are biologically DNA more closely related to us than some Dominicans. Because it's the first place Africans went were South Asian when they left the coast, the west coast of Africa, the east coast of Africa to go during the Greater Migration. And that was because of the climate change, right? So everything dried up. The first place they went were there. So our relationship traditionally, they have allowed our relationship to be defined by what they've been told. And they are seldom, they don't care to know the truth. The difference with white people here is that they know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care. Asians are being told, and it's been fair to white people the same way, but they know the truth. It don't matter what bullshit they're told that they choose to believe. I feel like they've never had an opportunity, and so they just chose to decide that all of us were, as opposed to coming here as a foreigner, as an immigrant, and seeing somebody who is closer to you, because you're Mongolian. Yeah, I mean, we want to get all the way into the history for real. The Asiatic Black man was really the first person in Asia. Too. So I struggle with them, not so much if she's Dominican a little bit, because Dominicans really ain't shit when it comes to the Haitians. So for me, when I think about Black men, I think about people I would be comfortable with based on how their relationship is with us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's not right. I think it's not right, but I'm being honest, is that my level of tolerance changes based on their relationship with the Black community.
But why wouldn't it be though? Why wouldn't that be right?
I don't know. There's a part of me that says that ain't fair. Like, you know what I mean?
Don't apologize for that.
No, not at all. Not at all. But and I agree with you. I don't really think about it. I think it's sad. I think it's sad the stereotypes like you said, they've chose to believe in, them not choosing to see for themselves. I mean, we go into a store, the way they talk, and I think that's why a lot of Black people may have felt a way about the Asian hate thing, and how the country really, got behind that, because it was like, there's been black hate for centuries. You know what I'm saying? And y'all ain't passed no legislation for that. Like, so it's just like, what? And so, and they don't understand it, and it's just these like acute occurrences that happen over time with other people, and we've been in it for so long, and you just be like, and I guess it just goes back, it's always going to go back to, we've been through so much, enough. We've lost so much and fought to gain back what is rightfully ours. And we are rightfully ours. You know what I'm saying?
We can't change what is innate about us about wanting to succeed. I have a poem that says, if I make it to the mountaintop, I don't want to look to the left and my brother ain't there. I want to. Because I know he deserves to be here as much as I deserve to be here. I don't want to grow without him. If I had to be
it don't
honest,
feel
I'd
right.
say, if I have to be honest, and I'm gonna say that question. I'm gonna, just because this is gonna be for the single ladies at the end. Let's Regina, were you getting ready to say something?
She chewing on her ice. I'm mad. I'm about to give me some ice in a minute. You making it look good, honey.
You might. Do you eat ice a lot? Y'all about to be mad at me because I'm about to give y'all a health tip. You eat
I
ice
am
a
not
lot.
anemic, but I hate
know it
water.
has-
So shut up, Don.
It could be an iron deficiency. I know. A vitamin D deficiency.
A
I
vitamin D
know.
deficiency.
Purposely do it because I don't drink a lot of water. So I do
You know
make
you
it a
ain't
point
getting
to do that.
Ice though, right? Okay.
What you say?
To the health thing. Nothing.
Dawn, look at me.
So, y'all might be too young for that, but back in the day when you be sitting in class and you know you're gonna fight somebody at the flagpole.
We was meeting at the
Be in
monkey
room
bars,
like
dude.
3 o'clock. I don't know
3
what.
o'clock.
I ain't never blacked nobody. Well, that ain't true. I have blacked somebody's eye with a clog. Anyway, that's a whole nother.
Listen, I was sitting in the principal's office explaining to somebody why I broke kneecaps, so I understand.
She's a beast.
I can't with her. Okay. Okay. You know, so let's talk about Black women and white, because we kind of brushed it, right? We're moving over. There are a lot of women.
Say that again.
We're moving over.
White men.
There are. I think the number is growing of Black women who are choosing to date white men.
We're moving over, but I think that's because those of us who move over are unequivocally comfortable in ourselves. There's a whole group of us who don't move over, who have this pervasive feeling of feeling like the mammy. And for those of you who are in that group, who feel like you don't want to be looked at as the caregiver or I want you to get over that, because you are beautiful, you are sexy, you are all of that. And if Mark Antony and Julius Caesar could fight back in the day, just imagine how bad you are today. I think that's a beautiful thing. And to be fair all around the board, I applaud the white men who are coming out of their comfort zones saying, you know what, this is what I like. There's nothing wrong. You like what you like. So, period.
So the interesting thing is that when you see a sister go and date a white man, the Black man's response to it, which mimics.
They're always funny to me.
If I had to be honest, I don't think they care. I think
they've gotten
the shit for so long that I'm not saying that they don't express that they feel a way. I just don't think they sincerely feel that way. I don't think they give a shit one way or the other. I think some do. I think unless it's a sister like Serena, who bad as shit though. You know what I mean?
She married to a white man. She got a baby.
This is what I'm saying. They had a whole lot to say about Serena.
Right.
Right? Because she built like a Black girl. She was raised in Compton. She a sister though. She a sister. So we believe that to be the case, right? But the woman who lived.
I don't know if I would give her the fist bump, but go ahead.
But I'm saying before all the married to her, she's bleaching. I know all that happened. I'm coming to that. But before, Black men adored Serena Williams. Maybe
they adored that ass. That's what they adored.
Thank you very much, Natasha.
Or a bit, maybe visually, but that's the whole other thing. I've heard that, like, he can't handle all that. You know what I mean? They start
He probably can't, but he got the money to support it, because she ain't go get Joe Blow who worked at Ford. She went and got a Mo Stanky who got an island.
She ain't messing with no broke.
The broke nigga.
dated black
Go ahead, girl. Go ahead, get that.
I don't think money had much to do with it for Serena. I don't think money had much to do with it for her. You know what I mean?
I
And
don't
need
agree
it,
with you, Don.
but you
I don't
know,
agree with you. I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you because I think she could have got a broke joker from Compton who would have broke her back all the way in and had beautiful. Hold on, Don. You gave me the floor.
you can lay
Who would
it
have given
down.
her
I wouldn't
beautifully?
fucking do more than that.
Hold on, Don. Hold on. Who would have given her beautifully melanated children? But she realized who she was. And to date outside of her income bracket would have been foolish on her part, in her
now
mind.
can I say this?
She dated black men, right?
Oh
Who
yeah,
have
Common.
plenty of
She
money.
had Common. She had
Yeah.
Common.
Money.
I don't know why they didn't go through with it because I would have loved that. I would have loved
$1
that.
billion woman. Okay, and she didn't marry him for money. Maybe she married in her.
She didn't marry him for money. She married him for security, and that's a difference. That's a difference. Janet Jackson didn't marry the Middle Eastern
If she
guy.
had ever dated a common black man, I would see the rationale in her saying, I ain't doing that shit no more. But she ain't never dated no common ass black man with not since she ain't not been common. She dated.
First of all, Common is the only
But
black
you know
man
what?
we knew she dated.
I
Let's
apologize.
just talk about
Facebook,
that.
I'm sorry. I say it too. I apologize.
Can I?
What did you say?
Do you think? Okay, since we're on the subject of Serena, and I think it's a good example. She has been one of the celebrities that have been very scrutinized from the time they hit the pavement. Whether it was them having beads in their hair forever, being from the hood, and I think her looks were attacked. A lot of men said she looked masculine.
Mhm.
You know, even though they glorified her.
I feel that though, Natasha, because growing up, people said that about me. And I know we haven't met in person yet, but people said that about me. And I feel that. I do. Black men here in Ohio were not gracious to me growing up at fucking all. I'm sorry, we're on Facebook. At all. They were not. It wasn't until I went to school down south that I got love. Because up here, I was told I had Popeye legs. Up here, I was told I was built like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that was hurtful. That was hurtful.
Yeah, I agree with that because my friend is from Memphis. The women tend to be thicker women. They are thicker and built up thicker, like body.
Like, because I got that thing you can sit a glass on and it won't move. I got that thing.
Yeah. And I agree. He said the same thing. He said, even from a male perspective, like, it was some beautiful women up here, but I grew up with women who were, 8th, 9th grade body. But it's a Southern thing. It definitely is that.
Right.
It definitely is. And if it wasn't for me going to an HBCU, I have to admit this to you. If it wasn't for me going to an HBCU, I probably would hate myself, y'all. And that's the truth. HBCU, Tuskegee University, taught me to love my kinky red hair and my big thighs. And I got a bottom lip, but I don't have an upper lip. It taught me to love all of that. And I'm about to cry just thinking about the turmoil I was in when I left Ohio and the rejection that I felt. That I wasn't this thin,
I think I got my
that this thin, skinny thing. I ain't never been skinny. Never, ever have I been skinny.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But I think with her being so masculine and then, having public relationships with certain Black men and it didn't work out. And I think she had a complex about herself. And I think when she met this white man, I don't think it was about money or anything. I think it was about acceptance. Mm-hmm. He accepts her. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
Her sister is the same way. Neither of them married Black men, neither one of them.
But I really think it's listen to what Soul said last week. He didn't feel accepted by us. Don brought that up earlier. He didn't feel accepted by us. As much as we were proud of them as athletes, we was hard on them as far as what we saw. And so her
Wasn't because I
being
related to Serena. I did. I feel like I'm Serena when
her
she
in that
get
way,
my
but I
age.
never thought she looked.
Shit.
I think when they was
Serena when
doing
she
that,
gets 55. I swear to God, I am.
I think it was masculine in her because her structure of her face is so
exactly right,
strong.
not her body,
Right, it
but
wasn't never her body. I
no.
mean, black men
I think
now.
it was her body. I disagree as a person with that
Now,
body. I disagree.
when you were coming up, that might be true. But nowadays, men like them as thick, potentially
Like
fine thick.
she's a
Particularly
lot
her
of
kind
muscle.
of thick. Her
She
kind of
a
thick.
lot of
You see it
muscle.
all over. So
I'm all
that
muscle.
might,
Yeah,
that
she's
After
a
was
lot
3
of
babies
muscle.
in my 50s.
true. Those were true about our days. That's not the case. I don't think men ever said, ew, her body is too, you know what I mean? Because she body. Like,
Yeah.
I think the structure of her
Absolutely.
face. I think the structure of her face
Is that why she got her nose done? Because she was scared of that?
really about right. I don't really want to take into what we're talking about is why we are crossing the line, right? And honestly, I think it goes back to options. And I think we believe that our options are slim on this side of the fence for whatever reason. And it's interesting, I think, Natasha, when you say about your white friend who was saying that black men don't relationship well. I don't think she's the only one who feels that way. I think it's harder for us to say because we want them to, right? We are in this sort of duality. We live in this sort of a duality with black men. We want them to relationship well because most of us don't want nobody else.
And funny when she said it, I took it offensively. I was like, well, you don't know every black man because there's a lot of black men that relationship well, even though, you know what I'm saying, I might have my person. I was just like,
and this is the reason I'm saying I see it in other places, but if I had only my experiences to go off of, if I were to talk about the last, let's say 10 relationships since I was 28, 29, right? So that's about almost 20 years ago. If I talk about 10 men who I dated more than a couple of times, who actually went out on a date with and kind of progressed the relationship, whatever the case is.
But no, what I was saying, I wasn't saying that it kind of goes back to what Regina was saying, how we are, regardless of what we feel, we are defensive when it comes to them. You know what I'm saying? Like we can talk about them, but you can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like what we say is what we say. But
I think it behooves us. It's like I said with the young men, I think it behooves us to listen, right? Because the truth is, we discuss them. What the hell we think we are? We're going to tell somebody we can be offended. We can say what's offensive about them, but y'all okay. And we be offensive as hell about everybody else. That ain't what's up. You know what I mean?
But it ain't what's up, but it's what's true. That's what happens, though. I said it ain't what's up, but that's what's true. That's what happens. We, like I said, I was like, well, wait a minute, you know, but I understood where she was coming from. And at that point when it happened, I kind of agreed, but I didn't want her to say, you know what I'm saying? Because she was trying to differentiate. She was trying to differentiate, like white men were better than black men. And every white man ain't good in a relationship.
Yeah, and the funny part about it is, it's interesting because I had 2 white girlfriends at work who were also single. One still is. One actually ended up with an old boyfriend from some time ago, and they both have changed and grown. And like, oh, let's rekindle what was good about it and see what's we different. Let's see what's up with this. And it was a both of them growth type thing, but. It's funny because when I sit around them listening, there are a lot of young white women who are single, right? It's interesting because when I'm watching the videos, because of my algorithms on Facebook and some of the stuff I watch, I see weddings between black men and women all the time. People I don't know, people posting, tagging, just all the time. And I would think, yes, certainly we are getting married at a lesser rate than white women, but there are a significant amount of women who are in their late 20s, late 30s, maybe mid 30s of white women who are single and having some of the same struggles we have. He's not financially secure. He's not, he want to play around. He's still out here playing around. And I used to sit and listen to them and think, but damn, But here's what's interesting is they just attribute it to men. They don't attribute their lack of being married to there being a lack of white men or good white men. They just attribute it to men being men. Does that make sense? So I think when we talk about why so many of us are single, we immediately contribute it to Black men being Black men. And would we have any more of a chance? If that's the case, I'm at the gym. Predominantly at the gym are white men. Maybe the same. If that's the case, I'm in a situation where either, you know, a lot of them are married, some of them are. But if it was a single situation and everybody was kind of on the up and up about it, then they could approach me in the same way that, you know,
Definitely.
Black men do. But the ones who have, I noticed immediately the bullshit. And immediately I thought, men are men. But when brothers do that, and I'm admittedly saying when brothers shaky, I be like, the N-word, you know what I mean? And I attributed immediately to them being Black, and that's not fair. Because a few of the little white men who have tried to say that something to me, they was on some slick shit too. And I'm like, typical man. That's it. So I wonder if we are, you know, we are these very spiritual beings. Everybody here, we talk about what we manifest, what we speak and what we manifest. And so I wonder if we continue to say that,
that's what you're
then we are making ourselves believe that that's true, that there's a hyper focus on it. I don't know if that's true or not. I will say, I haven't met a Black man in the last 10 years who was relationship focused, who was dating to be in a relationship. They was dating. And those are two different kind of men, white or Black. When someone is dating to find a wife, he is different. And men will say, I think this is where we get ourselves caught up, is men will say, I ain't married because I ain't found no wife. But the truth is, they're not dating to find a wife. Because men who are Black, white, Asian, or otherwise are different kind of men. And that's what we should start attributing it to.
That's what my friend was saying. My friend from Houston, he was like, good brothers that want wives, find wives. It's not hard for them to find a wife.
And they find wives early.
Yeah.
And they are married. My dad is a marrying man. He could not function well unless he's married. So he's always dated. Not to say he didn't do his little thing on his, but having a wife was a level of security for him. And if you believe that that's true, that's why, and then this is what I mean by poking holes, and I'm glad we had this conversation, because sometimes I'm fed up with the conversation with Black men who have all these things to say. Because the truth is, no matter who she is, and this is what I tell my nephews, no matter who she is, whether she's aggressive, she is, whatever y'all can say Black women are, it shouldn't change your character. Why would that matter? Why would it matter how you deal with her if that's what you were looking for? And if the truth is that you were dating to be married, then the color of the woman wouldn't matter at all, would it? Because we've already established that there are white women who are and Black women who are, they exist in every race. And you can't say you haven't encountered it. So the truth is, you're not married because all Black women and the Black, you're not married because you're not a marrying man right now. Because a marrying man wouldn't care.
So do you think sometimes too, the divisiveness between us has to do with their relationship with their mothers?
Wait, before we get to that, because that's the last question. I wanna ask this question, and we kind of brought it up. Do we think that dating white is dating up? And I think we kind of talked a little bit about that with Sabrina. I don't want to get too far into that, but I do want to talk about the cultural aspects of it, right?
I think Black men did it.
Yeah,
Feel like they arrived and to be accepted into certain circles and stuff like that for acceptance. I think a lot of people do it for acceptance.
Yeah,
To-
I think it's more with Black men and white women. And the reason I say that is because generally Black women who date and or marry white men are already established. They're in that circle. Who they
Mhm.
deal with on a common base in their work life and their whatever are white men.
Mhm.
And so they're dating more lateral. Their dating is
Mhm.
more lateral, somebody who's on there. And I do think that there are Black, even if they are rich Black men, it's a status thing. It's a token thing. And they can say that it's not that they can't love her, but it's still a token thing. Two things can be true about the same thing.
Right.
But in an interracial relationship, is it possible for people to stay true to their culture and still embrace the other, but stay true to theirs? Or is it usually that one has to suspend some part of who they are? Do they tend to suspend some part of who they are? And why do we see Black men particularly date, or Black women, because we did it to Kamala, they're less down for the struggle. Like they don't wake up every morning in the world in black skin. But so it's two different questions, but they kind of tie together. Is it possible for one, and I don't know this, if you all know any interracial couples who would admit this, did one have to dive further into the other culture than, or was it a reciprocal embrace of the cultures?
For the relationships that I know, they keep it separate. They can talk about universal conversations that affect just people generally, but when it comes down to race, like my friend will call me and talk to me about it as opposed to talking to his partner about it.
See, that's what I was meaning by feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I oh my God,
and
that makes me
it's crazy because
sad.
sometimes he'll be like, if the partner is in, and he's like kind of, yeah, because these white folks, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, but
Oh,
you
that's
laying
such
with one.
a little sad.
But you laying with one though. This is your partner. This is your life partner. This is your spouse. This is someone, this is like probably should be the most, the closest person to you,
That
regardless
makes me a
about,
little sad for him.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah,
Now
I
you
just thought it was. I don't. I don't
know,
really know. I don't really know any interracial couples
that's,
to ask that question to.
but then I know a young lady I used to work with, and she's engaged. She has 2 sons by a Black guy. She's engaged to him. And if when it comes to the Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, girlfriend down for the cause. And she is very vocal about it. And I really respect her perspective, because one thing I believe she knows is that she's raising, even though she does not disassociate her child being half Black and half white, she knows what the world sees her sons as. So she refers to, I'm raising Black men. I'm raising young Black men. But she's like talking to her people. You know what I'm saying? She's not like that one we was talking about that want to tell Black folks what they think they should do and you ain't Black. But she's talking to her people like, how can you not see this? How can you not feel this way? How do you feel like, you can really empathize when none of this ever happens to you? So I think it depends on the person and how open they are.
The thing is, we'll accept that situation, but when it comes to us, right, we give Black people who we do not consider Black a hard time. And it's not just Black people who are married to white people, but the LGBTQ community, the sort of the nerd community. The community is not typically, but we give them a hard time. And it's interesting, it's sort of this, if your Blackness, if you don't wear it like a
badge of honor,
boulder on your show, no, like a boulder on your back,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where
The heaviness.
yeah, if you're
Weight.
not wearing your blackness that way, you ain't really, and you can't possibly be wearing it that way if you are something other than somebody who wearing it that way. As opposed to somebody, and it's interesting, there's a book, oh gosh, wish I had written it down. I'll put it in the comments later, but it's a book that says that, like, I can be proud of who I am. I can work to provide increase in my community, and I still don't have to wear my race as a burden. And I think that we do have to get to the point, and we're going to be having a discussion in the next couple of weeks about that. I do think that we have to get to the point where we stop deciding that if people are other, that they are not Black enough. And I think it's unfair. And I think, like we did, if Kamala, like for instance, when Kamala was running, if she made a decision that was universal, right? Now remember, she wanted to be the vice president of a universal place with a bunch of people. But we determined we did the same thing to Obama. We determined that the only thing they can care about. But that's not what they signed up for.
No.
It's not even fair, and it's stupid.
It really isn't.
And it's stupid. They are the president. You say
they have a job to do,
apply for GE,
and they have to be objective.
It's like you saying, I'm gonna go apply for GE, and I know I'm supposed to be an engineer, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be a Black engineer, and I'm only gonna make stuff for Black people. That's stupid. You can't do that in your activism. But when you choose a public role, it's stupid. And I think we have got to get to the point where we stop doing that and realize that no matter what, every day they wake up in the same world that see them like they see you. I don't care what kind of privilege they have, what kind of position they hold. And if we believe that to be true, if we believe that our struggle is true, then it's unfair to decide that because somebody has an advantage that we feel puts them ahead of the game, that they're not also experiencing the same thing in this world. It's not fair. I think it is stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
It's rather obtuse. And I think, because my thing is, it's like, it ain't a choice in this skin. This skin is not a choice. I don't care how much you bleach it. Like, I just saw a clip with Michael Jackson saying, like, I had, you know, I look in the mirror every day. I know I'm Black. You know what I'm saying? This was after the skin. He was like, I'm aware I'm Black because I get treated like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, for real.
Yeah. And so I think in marriages like that, I think if I ever were going to, for me personally, it would have to be one in which I'd be honest and say they would have to embrace, I'm not crossing over. And the reason I say that is because I live in a crossed over existence. And the reality of it is we are very clear about the dynamics of race in this country. Because of your skin tone, and this is what privilege looks like, you've had the option to decide whether or not you want to be clear about the dynamics in this country. I don't have a choice about being clear. And so I think your walk is further, and you have to make it. And if it was the other way around, I'd be making it, but it's not. This is what it is. You know, Regina had to pop off. I think she was, I'm not really sure, maybe with her family. We're getting close to 9. I do want to wrap this thing up. I think we have touched on most everything. We didn't talk about the children, and we may separate that and do that. I'd like to actually have some interracial children maybe, and we can continue that part of the conversation. But 2 things I want to do here at the end and get your input here, because you asked a great question. When will the severed ties ever be healed between us? I do think they need mending. And I think all these things that we talk about have fed into the severance of into it being severed. And then on what percentage do you think, right? Because we are middle age.
Mhm.
Yes. We
Yeah.
say we're young, but let's be clear, we're middle age,
We are.
and that's okay.
That's okay.
What percentage, if you had to give it a percentage, do you think that you will find a Black man to, or a Black man will find you to settle down with at this point in your life?
I'm not part of that population where I feel like I'm not going to find. I think somebody mentioned earlier, I don't think it's, maybe there's, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. I don't think it's necessarily trouble for us finding Black men. It's finding the kind of Black man we want. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Sure.
I think finding a Black man will be, oh, we can do that. It's
Tomorrow.
the kind of Black, right? Like if we went to the store right now after
If
the
I had
podcast.
a pick right now of the amount of men who flirt with me consistently in whatever circle I am in, I would say my options are wide open.
Right.
But if I would say, hey, these are men that I want to marry, not at this point. Percentage wise for me, I am about 50%.
Yeah, I would say 50-50.
I am comfortable with, as I age, I believe it will increase. I know a lot of women over 50, mid 50s, even close to 60, who are starting a second life with a new husband.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a wonderful thing.
Mhm.
Will I be different by that time and be at the point where I'm like, you know what? Fuck what I do. I mean, sorry, Facebook. Why don't I do it now? Like, at that point, here's what it would have to be for me at 60. Even though I think my chances would be greater, because I think at that point men are slowing down,
Mhm.
they ain't working as well, the situation. So they
Well, you
got to
got
find
these
somebody
zaddies
who
out
can
here.
accept.
You got these zaddies out here, these old men that's looking
Yeah,
at
but even with that little Viagra, they can only take that so often. Let's be clear, because it is a hard. You a nurse. They can't be popping that shit every night. You know
but
what I
they
mean?
got
They
them,
gonna have a heart attack.
goalies. They got them blue goalies now. Because
But
I know
even there, right
somebody.
here, what's interesting is that's true. But that for men is an ego thing, and they
Yeah.
need to find a woman, even if that's the case, who they can play the game forever and take one and then go out and hope they meet somebody and not have to go home unable to do anything, right? They don't want to do that at that age. They're tired. I didn't watch
Right.
that happen with men I knew who were a tad bit younger, in their early 40s, late 30s, and now we all in this age. They tired. They don't want to go out as that much. They ain't trying to spend a whole lot of money on these young girls. They realize that they're at a point where they really they get it now. They got it before they just had options. The options are getting, fewer. And they don't want to have to admit that they've taken it. So they really need to be with somebody who's comfortable enough, and she knows, and she good. She like, he gonna take it once a week because I ain't trying to kill him. And it's all good. And so their egos begin to change. And it's like, yeah, I was a dang back in the day, but they know whether they say it or not, they know. And they get to the point where, okay, you know what? Stop playing. Because I'm going to look like the idiot in a minute. I'm going to look like the idiot in the club, and they know that. And the men who are destined to do that waited too long.
Yeah.
Because the other men, the other zaddies got on about the club and went on and snatched up them little 60-year-old and kept it moving. Now they out here 65 by themselves. That ain't no happy life for no man. A woman can do that. That ain't no happy life for a man. Do I want to marry at that point? Because this fool ain't got no choices. Here's the only thing that would make me do it. He would have to be debt-free. Because I'm not at 60. I've planned my life, because it's the only life I've had to plan. Right? I don't want to apologize for that. And this is what I find more often now is I have to apologize for having a decent savings account. Like I could not work for 6 months. I ain't bragging. But I did
Yeah.
that. It was my goal. And I was able to do it because it was just me. I have no interest. My house, my condo will be paid off in 4 years.
Mhm.
I won't be 60. I won't be 55. My condo will be paid off in 4 years. If I really wanted to, I got all these other IRAs. If I really wanted to, I could retire right around 58. You know why?
Come
Because I
on.
planned that. If I get married now, dude, you gotta know. I ain't giving none of that up. I'm
Right.
not giving any of that up. So for a woman like me, I'm like, I want a long-term companion. I don't want nothing legal. I'm not trying to be funny. I know that sounds horrible.
It's not
Unless,
horrible. It's
unless
rational.
he is where, unless he's lived in the fashion that because I want to own property in Jamaica. I can't do that if I take on somebody else's debt.
Right.
And I'm not willing to sacrifice it. I want to close it down at 58, right, for the rest of my life and travel. And I want somebody to do that with me. And there are parts of that I would sacrifice, but not to accumulate somebody else's debt. I might not get the house in Jamaica. I'm cool with that. We can go every year. So there's some parts of it I'll sacrifice, but I work too hard for all of it.
I know that's right.
And men sense that without me ever having to say it. They see how freely I move. And I don't think it's intimidating in the sense that like, oh, I can't. I don't think it's that, even though I think that's how they articulate it.
Mhm.
I think it is, I'm gonna slow her down. And I don't think she's gonna slow down. And I get that. So I might have some changing to do, but I doubt it. So what's your percentage?
I think you're gonna get exactly what you want. I really do. I think you're gonna get it's still a possibility. You because you don't make any allowances for it, you don't compromise on it. You know, somebody's going to respect that, and somebody's out there looking for that because don't nobody on their end, they don't want to have to take care of nobody like that. They don't want to have to accumulate somebody else's debt either. You know what I'm saying? There's men out there that might be. Hey,
It's not about him giving me anything. It's not even about him adding to my life. It's literally about him not subtracting from my life because I don't have time to make up the difference.
right.
If I was 30 in this position, I could mess up a couple times and still potentially. But at my late 40s, I don't really have time to kind of let you set me back 6 years, 7 years. I just don't think I can. I just don't think I can do that and not be wearing orange.
Girl, it ain't a girl. Listen.
Right.
Right.
In the big house. I kill him. Like, dude,
Girl.
mad at myself, it'll be a temporary insanity moment. But yeah,
She's like, that's my plea. That's my plea.
Gonna get harder. It's gonna be more options because I think men change as they get older. They don't really want to grow old alone. But I think my options are gonna get slimmer because
or
I don't know if they've taken care of their business like me.
Or because you might have to do a Stella type because some of these young guys are entrepreneurs.
Oh my
some
God,
young
I said
guys
the same thing. I said, what's the lowest I would go? And I think it would be 35.
At this point.
And that's 13. That's 12 years my junior. But at 35, let me tell you something about these young boys. Their approach is different. I don't care if they're trying to be impressive or not. They want to know what you like, what you want to do, kind of places you want to go. They might even say, I ain't never did that, but I'll do that. And while y'all thinking women are difficult, I ain't trying to be funny, but y'all be super, super difficult too. I can get a brother to go to New York with me and let's go to the theater. But a young boy, whether or not he's done it or not, he'd be like, you know what?
That might be live.
Because they living in a very, so cuz you might be right.
I'm saying.
I would go as low as 35. And I used to say I wouldn't because Brandon almost 40, but Brandon married with kids. Ain't nobody, I don't care about that no more. No, that was my thing. So you about 50-50. You think that's gonna last?
I think, yeah, I think it's perspective. I think as we grow older, we evolve, our needs change. What I want now, 5 years from now, may not be the same. So it just depends on where I'm at and what I'm desiring and everything. Right now, I'm just so focused on me. Like I'm dating, but I'm not making so much like, yeah, right.
Consume. Yeah, keeping your autonomy. And I think that's important. And I think for you and your stage, and I think that's what's important, what you said is that it's about stages and where you are. So I leave room for some wiggle too. I think in the end, what you said, your last question, I think in the end, we talked about when the ties will be severed. I mean, when the ties will be healed. I don't know when, but whether or not I marry a Black man, end up with a Black man, in a relationship, not in a relationship, I still want to see us love each other better. Not romantically.
Just period.
Just period. I'm so sick of the memes that pit us against each other all the time. It is. And let me tell you something. The person on Facebook who does that, he's married. And what's sad is y'all so desperate for the conflict. And I hope he hear this, because I know he gonna know who I'm talking about. You got a whole following because it's women. You got a whole following, bruh, because it's women who are so addicted to the conflict. And what's sad is you married, happily at home. You almost like these whack-ass rappers who rap about shit that get our kids killed, but their kids go to private school. That's you, dude. You post this shit on the daily. 3, 4, 5 times a day. It's addictive. And you only do it to cause dissension. And y'all so crazy. Y'all so crazy for the conflict. Y'all can't see that this man's sitting happily at home and he got y'all beefing with each other. So y'all could never end up having what he got sitting at home.
But
and
why?
To me, because
Why
he's
do you
an
think?
asshole. Period. And it's not funny. And when you do get angry about it and say something, it's just people, but it's divisive and it is hurting us. And you like it and you watch it and your whole thing is how stupid women are.
Wow.
And they love it. They look for your shit every day. And I don't know when, and I don't know if. And if we were talking about percentages, I'm about 35% confident that it's going to change. That's sad. I want to be more than that, but I'm scared. When we do Willie Lynch, I hope everybody decides to join us, because this will give us a chance to really dive into that. The Willie Lynch conversation is going to be 2 weeks from now. Please continue to join us. It's 9. I want to make sure to let you guys off, and I want to give you your last thoughts on this.
I'm just like with you. I think that's the driving force of our movement. Getting back to the love is so important. I believe our ancestors fought to try to preserve it in spite of the conditions that we had to experience and go through. We owe it to them to try to at least try to love
our children.
Yeah, our future. And we all owe it to ourselves, Like I said, I want a Black man. I love y'all without regret,
Me too.
beyond comprehension. It's a natural thing, it's a soul thing. And I just want y'all to realize that it's a lot of women out there that feel the same way. We're not
perfect.
We're not perfect.
And we are carrying our bags like y'all carrying y'all bags. And I would make a plea to Black men to, and Black women, to just stop being so frustrated with each other about everything. Everything is just not a big argument. And work on your emotional maturity. Don't worry about whether or not he is or she is. Be honest with yourself and work on your emotional maturity, Black people.
That's
Because
a
some of
podcast.
the things that we make an issue are not. They don't have to be.
That's a teachable
Conflict
moment
is the
because
natural part of life. If you don't have good conflict resolution, I gotta believe that you act that way at work. Like,
but that's good though. We do have to have that conversation because I don't think we teach our kids that. Look
no,
at some of these little kids. They ain't got a clue. My little god baby, she about to be 7 in November and falling apart. And I'm like, what is happening? You know, but nobody's teaching. I mean, one of her teachers said one of her struggles is emotion, dealing with her emotions, you know, and yes, she's just 7 and she has a lot of maturing to do, but it's some things we can't teach at that age. And
yeah,
these kids are
kids
hella
mimic
smart.
what they see. And if your
That-
mother is you know what, the old people used to call it crying wolf.
Mm,
See, the funny thing about old people is they paid attention to life because they didn't have all this other stuff to pay attention to.
mhm.
So they didn't have all these distractions. They had to pay
Distractions, yeah.
attention to life. And life is insightful.
Mhm.
It teaches you things. And so some of these little sayings we hear, we don't realize, but these were sayings that were the glue. They were cornerstones. They were cornerstones in the community. And so this idea of crying wolf, right? That is the mother or the woman or the man who everything is a heightened awareness.
Mm.
So when it really is, don't nobody know. When you really going through, nobody know.
Yeah.
We really have no idea, like, oh, that's just, and
You
you
see
can literally
that a
ready to
lot
jump off a
on
building. And
social
we have
media.
no clue because you always ready to jump off a building. And so
Yeah,
what
a lot on social media, and I'd be like, I
the
can't do
kids
it.
are seeing it. And this is the last thing I'll say, and then we can say goodnight. And I think we need to expand on this conversation of the severed ties. And I think Willie Lynch's conversation will give us a chance to do that. I know for certain that our kids are emotionally dysfunctional, non-functional, because not even dysfunctional, non-functional, because we have a tremendous amount of kids in kindergarten who have behavioral issues, who have developmental issues. And one of the things that we look at in developmental is emotional social development. And they are extremely, they could be smart in every other, that area, they are extremely deficient.
Mm-hmm.
They seeing that from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So work on you first, and then let's start severing the ties. But Black people, all I'm asking is y'all just work on everything not being an issue. I be tired. I don't know how y'all not tired.
And if you
I'll be
got
on Facebook like this.
issues,
I'll be on Facebook like this. Oh,
therapy.
God, these people.
And if you got issues, seek therapy.
Seek
Get that
therapy.
together. Get that together for you.
Together, please.
Get
Yes.
that together.
Yes. And on that note, guys, we will be back next week. Next week's discussion is going to be about health and the mental health in the workplace. We work ourselves to death, basically, is what this is going to be about. And we look forward to seeing you guys then. Remember, you can always check these out on YouTube. I would suggest going there because then you can pause where you are, save your favorites, and look through them. We realize that we have fairly long podcasts. So it was good to see you guys and hang out with you today. And always, as always, we take care of each other and remember to love each other. We'll see you guys in 7 days. Good shit. Stop canceling.